What's going on, smart people, and welcome back to YouTube's favorite show, WGOTW, where I tell you what type of content you can expect this week and other stuff. It seems like I'm starting to figure out the way that I want to structure this channel, and it only took over a year to do. I use the term structure loosely, but I'd like to have at least one sort of light, fun video put out a week, at least one more rigorous math video out a week, and one more centered around physics student life stuff. For example, I like to do those little silly article review things now. Those are always really fun to make. And then I also like doing the tensor calculus stuff. I'm going to try to do those every week, but I don't think they will be put out every single week. Sometimes there's just too much material, and sometimes there's just too much to go over. Like some chapters are more formal, and I don't want to make mistakes. So sometimes it might take 2 weeks for that, but I might compensate with that by putting out some other math video. Speaking of that, I'd also, more than likely, I might put out like some computational based video as well. But as far as math goes, yeah, the tensor calculus or something else that I think is interesting, like I'll do interesting integration techniques maybe. The silly article stuff, what was the other one that I was talking about? Math, silly, and student life. So one video that I'm thinking about making is, a lot of people tend to not know how the education system is overall structured in the United States, so I might go over just what it means to go to college or university in America, and maybe that'll answer some questions so that people can compare that to, their own country. I don't know. We'll see how that goes. But if you've been counting, that's 4 things. That's 4 days of the week that are pretty predictable. We got the math, we've got the computation, we've got the student life, and we've got the silly funny video. That leaves 3 more that are kind of up in the air. And that's where I think you guys might come in, so that you can have your suggestions on what you'd like to see. So if I get a lot of comments in the comment section throughout the week that are like, meme review, or something along those lines, do another article, or I want to see more integration stuff, then that could be one of the things of the week. So that's how that's gonna work. But all that stuff is pretty general. But as far as this week goes, what to expect for this week, I think I'll be able to do the tensor calculus video again this week, because it's not getting too in-depth yet. And as far as the content of that video goes, it's going to be introducing some of the 2-index tensors that are really common in physics, talking about like the inertia tensor, the polarizability tensor, some other ones, and then we're going to talk about how tensors transform. But absolutely coming this week probably is going to be a certain video on graduate school related things.
What does that mean, Andrew? Does that mean you're going to graduate school? Are you gonna drop out and live with your mom forever and playing old school RuneScape until you die? I need answers.
In due time. But as far as the internship goes, I've just been really going over basic QCD stuff. So going over like the QCD Lagrangian, we've got like infrared singularities, and then connecting it to some of like the deep inelastic scattering physics. So going over things like the hadronic tensor and the leptonic tensor. So it's reaching for me. I'm really not. I haven't mastered any of this. Even master is a terrible word for that. I'm starting to learn it. Let's put it that way. But that's the main goal of this week. Is I had a meeting last week with my advisor and some people who do this stuff for a living, and the terminology, the papers that they were going over was just way over my head. And so he gave me the resources to start looking over some of the things that were talked about. That way, next time, I know what questions to ask, and I know what buzzwords to listen for, if that makes sense. But that's pretty much going to do it for this episode's WGOTW. It was probably less of a WGOTW and more of a what's going on with the channel. What's going on? WGOTW. But anyways, add me on RuneScape. The name's Stan Darsh, 3 H's. See you in Deep Wildy.